Hi, Elliott. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Really nice to connect to you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Adam.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. So, before we start recording, we was talking about the kind of work that you do, and you're kind of transitioning into something else at the minute. Do you mind
Right.
talking about that?
Sure. Sounds good. Well, back in the day, I remember thinking, okay, what career do I want to have that will be a good career, a career I could do anywhere in the world? And I chose the sciences, and I thought, that would be interesting. You always have an opportunity to learn. But what I realized was my heart wasn't really calling out to that. It was really more of a creative calling that I had. And so writing is something that I had always done like before getting into the sciences. And I had an opportunity, I had different opportunities come my way, but I accepted this internship with Refresh Media when I lived in Pittsburgh.
Mm.
And it was really fun because the owner was this really great guy. He essentially he gave me so much like learning about social media, like how to run different platforms. And I worked on the writing, and then eventually I stepped into the position where I would create the content for different businesses, and then I would do the posting. So I absolutely love that. I decided to move back to Madison, Wisconsin, because the majority of my family is here, like my father, my siblings, niece, nephews. And, the nice thing is writing, you can do anywhere in the world.
Mm.
So I maintained the job, but then they also ran two other companies. And at the time, a big business deal had fallen through that would have made it full-time permanent for me. And so at that point, when that kind of ended, I'm like, okay, well, for now, I'll just jump back into pharmaceutical world. But what I realized is I just absolutely have to do the thing that I love. Writing is
Mm.
something like we were saying. I can do that when I'm tired. I can get up early in the morning and do it. It's one of those things where it's just so inspiring and inspirational. It's definitely a gift that I have. And so I'm transitioning back into that. So, I don't see myself leaving the company I work for it's actually a genetics lab where
Mm.
I run like the inventory for 12 labs. So I love that job as well, but I wouldn't leave it until I am like fully planted, like on my feet in the writing
Yeah,
world.
yeah, yeah. Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So
No, that's great, and I think it's good that you kind of found something that you find that you enjoy it, and that you, like I said, it doesn't really make you tired. You're not drained when you do it.
right.
It's your calling, like you said.
Yeah, I think that's so important, especially, well, life. It's just one big learning lesson. I want to learn, up until the day I die. I want to always be
Yeah.
learning, always improving, always growing. And oh yeah, like we were saying earlier as well, it's like when you do the thing that you love, that's when the doors open up. That's when you meet kind of like your tribe or your group of people, your mix. That's where your prosperity comes. That's where your abundance comes. Yeah. And what, joy, what kind of price tag is that? It's priceless.
Mm.
And plus two, writing, I love to travel. I would rather not be in an office. I would rather not be in a building, and that I can go anywhere in the world and do successfully, or maybe even get more successful because there's just so much inspiration all over the world.
Mm. Yeah, no, I agree, and I find with writing as well, like you said, you can kind of do that anywhere. And then you were saying as well, you work for did social media for companies and things like that. And we are saying earlier, social media is kind of like where it's at, and that's only going to grow even
Right.
more. So with writing and writing, there's so many forms of writing. You can do it for newspapers or social media for companies, and it's kind of like a
Yeah,
big kind of web, isn't it, where you can branch into lots of different areas.
definitely. That makes me think. I had my roommate, she wrote for Madison magazine. So for the city of Madison, that was, a big deal. And she was a makeup artist on like a local and national level.
Mm.
And it was neat. So every month she wrote an article, some type of makeup thing, for the business women. And I would sit and I would go and edit it. And so I would look for so that's an area too, like kind of different areas of writing I just easily excel in. And it was fun because I know her articles came across even better because, I had
Mm.
that careful eye to be able, to make sure everything was consistent.
Mm. Like
So it was,
proofreading it as well.
yes, yeah, I'm kind of the secret agent, like the person behind the scenes,
Yeah, yeah.
making everything perfect. So
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, like that's probably like when I post things, I have to really look at my grammar and punctuation because sometimes it's been so long since I've, written and wrote things down like, in a proper way. We're so used to putting slang and jargon, in social
yes,
media. And I'm like, sometimes I have to read through it and it doesn't like, look correct. The punctuation's all off. So it's good that you're good at that side of things and you can kind of help other people with it.
yeah, because I do think, they're two separate entities of the same beast, and I know especially, yeah, when you really are stepping into that more professional, um, I think people are more critical because you are the professional. And I think too, if you can avoid, yeah, those errors, it makes an impact. There was this doctor, incredibly intelligent man and stuff, but whenever he would send out an email, the grammar, it was horrible. His spelling was horrible. And I finally went to his office one day. I said, look, if you want me to read this, I said, you hit spell check, you know what I mean? And it was so funny because he respected me enough because he knew I was really honest. And it was nice to have somebody that I could just be honest with, like, look, your professionalism is not showing in this email. And it was so funny and it made a difference for him. But
Mm.
it's just nice too to be able to help people out.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's like you said, it's that kind of like positive feedback, isn't it? It's not being like negative and critical. It's saying like, this is what you need to improve on in some way, isn't it? And that could be the difference of him, like, I don't know, gaining a client or losing a client or something like that.
Yes. Yes. Because if somebody's looking like his professionalism, like he's way up here, but people saw him more down here simply because, yeah, of like the not taking the time
Mm.
to make sure everything was perfect. And maybe a lot of people, it doesn't matter too, but I think, as you always want to put your best foot forward.
Mm.
Because
Yeah,
people,
no.
unfortunately, we judge on a lot of things, and that could be an area that people might
Mm.
concern. I guess when I was like 16 or 17, I remember this woman that worked for a judge, and she said, so, all these people, fresh out of law school or whatever, they want this position. It's highly sought after. And I just remember the thing that made the biggest impact on me is she said, if she saw one spelling or punctuation error, no matter how brilliant this person was, she'd throw it right in the garbage can. And I think that's kind of where I based, I guess, my thoughts going forward. It's like, wow, if you want to, bark with the big dogs, you got to be the absolute best.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, no, I think that's key on what you said. And I find like, so when you apply for job applications, isn't it? Like you said, that could be um, the what makes that person throw that application away because you might have all this experience and everything, but if you've structured it not in an efficient way and not taking the time to like I said, correct it, you might lose that position, that
yeah,
job application because of your grammar and punctuation.
right. Or like, yeah, if you're going up against the best of the best, they're going to start to get critical on, how do they eliminate people?
Mm. I
Yeah.
think they even do it by how the CVs are structured as well. I know some companies, like they'll look at how the layout of the CV, and if it's laid out a certain way, then they won't bother with it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's so funny too how like every 5 years it seems to be a whole different set of rules that they're looking for. This year it's this, 5 years later, nope, now that's obsolete. And it's just like feels kind of like a big game sometimes, but hey, you know, if you learn the rules, you're going to win more often than not, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I think like with like the how was it working for the social media for that company, learning that and writing for
Well,
that?
it was really nice. My boss, his name was Fran, and so he was outstanding. He was amazing because he took the time to explain everything. Or like we'd meet at a Starbucks and we'd both bring our laptops, and so he would actually take the time to show me, this is, you know, this is how you do this is how you do that. Or then I
Mm,
would sometimes before I would submit something I was going to post on Facebook. So let me step back just a moment. So I was the writer and the person in control of posting on social
mm,
media platforms.
right.
And then there was a photographer and then a guy that did film. So it was so fun. So we
Mm,
had companies, we had everything they could possibly want, um, to just make it really interesting, very lively, and just very creative, very a lot of different things.
mm,
And so I would then send, okay, this is the picture I'm going to use. This is what I'm going to say. So then he really helped me tweak, like, this is too long, make this shorter, make this longer, you know, explain less, or, you know, so he really helped hone in what people are looking for.
yeah.
And so it was really fun too, because I've always thought mentors, or, you know, are key to anybody. And I have one friend that says, you know, everybody needs like a counselor and a mentor, you know,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
life.
yeah.
And I thought, yeah, that is pretty genius. So it was just like having the ultimate mentor for free.
Mm, yeah. No, that's true in what you said. Like, you know, we all kind of like need that kind of like mentor or like kind of someone to kind of like give us advice, see it from like, you know, another perspective, isn't it? You still there? You still there?
Yeah. Yeah. We just,
Yeah. So like you're saying, like is you know people should always have like a counselor and a mentor. And I think like you know you working with that person, like you said, alongside him for free, is quite good because you've got had that one to one and that training with him to kind of like train you and kind of guide you and give you that assistance. And I think, like you said, with social media and with social media,
yes.
like it's quite competitive. You know, not just in the world of jobs, but like you know, standing out because you kind of have to structure it a certain way, and you know all the rest of it.
Well, definitely. And then, you know, everybody has an opinion. So how do you be authentic? How do you state what you have to state? You know, because everybody's now going to have an opinion, and a lot of people are going to voice that opinion. So how can you, it's that delicate balance. And as well, like when he was training me, it was both of our intention. You know, I really wanted that full-time permanent. That would have been
Mm,
incredibly, that would have been awesome. But things happen, and I look at it this way: there's always something very positive you can take away from a negative. You just have to be willing and open to find what that is. Now, that's where I've stepped into where, like, now I'm paying for training. So it's like I'm getting my education in the writing field in a different way, where I can still use social media, but also maybe make it into a business of my own. Now,
mm,
so it's just neat. So it just keeps opening up in front of me, and I just keep moving, I keep acting, I keep doing something, and that's how the doors open. You know, if we sit and wait, the doors are gonna stay closed. But yeah, we had really hoped that would be full time. So he was really investing in me as an employee, but he's a very kind person though as well.
Mm. Mm.
So, you know, when it didn't work out, I mean, we still keep in touch. You know, who knows? There might be an opportunity in the future.
Yeah. No, it's nice that you still stay in touch and it's mutual. And I think like what you said, you know, in negative situation, or you know, when negative things happen, there's always like a silver lining or positive that you can take from that, isn't there? You know,
Definitely.
if we choose to, I mean, like things haven't worked out for me sometimes, and you think, oh, like, oh yeah, sod it. Whereas if you think, well, you know, what can I take from that, and just take yourself out of that situation for a second, because it's all experience, isn't it?
Right. Okay.
But no, you were saying before we broke up that there's like a silver lining to, you know, if things don't work out that you can take from situations.
Definitely. I challenged myself like many years ago when different things, you know, occurred where you think, oh my God, this is devastating. This is, you know, everything is ending right here, you know. And what I found was I kind of that eternally positive person. And I just remember thinking, it's like, okay, I'm not going to settle for this. Like I was in a car accident. My back was badly injured.
Mm.
And so essentially the doctors were like, nope, you're essentially pretty much going to be sitting down for the rest of your life. And, you know, it's not going to get any better. And I'm thinking, absolutely not. I don't agree with that. And so you think, okay, yeah, what good is in that? Right. You know, and what I did was I kind of stepped out of traditional medicine. And that's when I really started to dive into alternative medicine, like acupuncture, craniosacral therapy. And I am back up. You know, I don't think anybody would even have a clue that that happened. But then even more so than that, that's when, so I was laying down or sitting down most of the time. And so that's when my creativity really kicked in, or that's when I'm like, okay, well, what can I do? So I'm going to write more, or I just think too, the strength that it takes to get through something like that. You know, a lot
Mm.
of people maybe don't survive that or don't survive it well, or so for me, a ton of strength. I'm one of those people, I'm like a bulldog. I'll just latch on. I won't let go until the positive outcome comes about.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, wow, well, that really strengthened me a lot. And I can't imagine much worse happening. So to me, what might devastate somebody else is like, that's easy for me now to step over because I dealt with something worse.
Mm.
And so I just keep like growing my mind and like just getting physically stronger.
Mm.
And you just get that sense of nothing can stop you. And or then when you see something coming your way that looks like, oh, this might stop me, you're like, nope, that at the most is just going to slow me down. And so it expands your ability to think like solutions. At work, people love me because I've always got a solution for every problem. And so a lot of good. No, honestly, if I could choose not to have that experience, I would definitely not have that experience. But I think, you know, we all get something handed to us in life that we don't like, something that's really traumatic, something that's
Mm.
really devastating. And it just is amazing, the human spirit, what we can really come out of, the things that, you know. And it's neat too, you really get to see the family, the friends, co-workers, or whoever that are actually there for you. It's really interesting.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really strong point what you made and like what you said. You know, like what happened to you in the car crash and things, and like the way you dealt with that. I can't believe like doctors say things like that sometimes. That oh, like you're going to
Yeah.
be sat down. Like you should. I don't think you know they're allowed to say certain things now. But like
Yeah.
you know, like you have to be careful what they say. But like yeah, I mean, it's good that you didn't think to yourself, oh, this is gonna be me. I'm gonna be you know stuck now. And I think
Yeah,
like when things
thanks.
happen like that, it's like how you deal with that and how you move forward. It's like you know, it's like what can I do? You know what are the things that I can do? This isn't going to be me. and
Yes.
go about that. And I think if you say to yourself, "Oh yeah, well, this is it," then you're telling your mind's telling your body this is it, and your body's just gonna.
Yes. Yes.
So
I just heard somewhere something, or I read something where they're like, every cell in your body is listening to what you say. Oh, and that made me think too. I listened to this podcast, Rich Roll.
I've
Do you
heard of
know
the name.
him by any
I've not
chance?
seen it. I've heard of the name.
Yeah, so Rich Roll, he does some pretty awesome interviews. And the one that I saw recently was with Chad Wright, so a Navy SEAL. And I really like listening to people that have worked hard to accomplish things like that. And I believe he was like a Navy SEAL for 12 years or something like that, until just like an injury or something kind of ended that. But he was saying, you know, to get through the things that they do the impossible. And one of the key takeaways is don't speak to the pain. Don't, if you're super tired and you just want to, you know, pass out because you're just so tired, just don't speak it. Don't share like other people, like the amount of pain you're in, because once you speak that, it's like that takes over. So I just recommend you or anybody listening to this podcast, go find that one with Rich Roll. It was Chad Wright. It was, you want to get an uplifting message or many messages, that would be an awesome one to go to.
No,
Because
definitely. No,
I even think about that now. It's like sometimes, you know, like just kind of what's going on in the world right now. It's like, okay, let's not speak to the things that we like. What are the good things that we want to bring, you know, make happen in our moment? Like, what do we want to wake up tomorrow morning? You know, and I'd rather focus on, I'm not denying what's going on, but I'm
no.
choosing to focus on the positive, the great. I think, you know, we can all have vibrant futures. I've been laughed at for saying this during this time, but my thought is we're going to get exactly what we are going to get. I choose to have a great life no matter what. And, you
Yeah.
know, so if hard things come, well, you know what? I'm still going to have a good life because that's just how I see it. And that's what, you know, even if it's just like you and I just chatting, having a fun time, that's a good day.
Yeah. No, I agree. I definitely agree. And I find like what you said, like, you know, have that mindset of, you know, not, like you said, if people might not seem realistic to other people sometimes, you know, when people think certain ways, but, you know, it's a very personal thing how, you know, how someone thinks. And it's like what we choose to think isn't going to be how someone else chooses to think. And, you know, that's okay. But like, you're doing what's right for you. And I think like, you know, at the minute, yeah, a lot's happening, but you can't focus on the things that you can't control because
Right.
that just causes you to feel stressed. It causes you to, you know, feel anxious. And it brings like negative emotions, like the news. Like I rarely watch the news. And
Yeah. Yeah.
whenever the news is on, I'm just like, really? Is that all they're showcasing? There's much more good things happening in the world.
Yes.
So you got to have that mindset, and you got to, like you said, what you said is focus on what you can control and focus on the good things and what you're working towards. Because there's
Yes.
no point wasting time on the things you can't control and bad things happening.
Yeah. And like somebody had said, you know, the things we worry about, how much of that actually came to fruition? Probably 99% didn't, you know? And so it's like, that's a lot of time of worrying is just wasting your energy. It's wasting your health. It's wasting like the time from the good things you could be doing. I'm with you too. I stopped watching the news a long time ago. And it's funny. I'm probably one of the more happier people. And some people that watch the news a lot, they're worried, they're stressed. And I keep telling them, turn that thing off, turn that off, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, so I mean, I'm very selective of where I get my news from, and that's what if you do look at the news, you have to be selective of where you get it from and what you look at.
Yes.
Because I was listening to one of the Joe Rogan podcasts, and they had a guy on, and he was saying he's like the TV stays off till 7 o'clock. He's like, there's no TV till 7 o'clock
Yeah.
because all the other stuff's just like nonsense, and he doesn't want his daughter listening to it either. But I think, you know, the podcast you mentioned is, I'll check it out. And I think it's always good to like look at and listen to content where, you know, there's people who've come from experience and they've had hard times, or, you know, people in the military especially as well, who,
Yes.
you know, triumph over adversity and stuff like that. I think another guy is David Goggins. You know, David Goggins.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he was a US Navy SEAL, and he had to go. I think he went through training like several times. He went back in,
Right. Yes.
and it's
That's an
always
excellent point.
it's always good to listen to um, people who've come through something, you know, and they've worked to get to a place.
Right. And it wasn't easy. And yeah, they were exactly like they were, it seems to be that way when you're really heading towards greatness, or like the purpose that you were. I believe we are all born with a purpose. And when you're really getting into that, sometimes it's, you know, takes Herculean strength.
Mm.
And maybe that's a sign that you're moving in the right, either the correct direction or the absolutely worst direction. But yeah, I thought that was really powerful. When I was younger, I liked to listen to like or watch biographies, you know, on like the
Yeah, yeah.
biography channel or whatever. And it was neat because it's like, okay, this person has great success. Well, it seems like a minimum of a decade to hit that. Or some people, it can take decades, and then you're like, oh wow, the first time I ever remember seeing them was on this show. Well, you never learned that they were on Broadway for like 40 years, or, you know, and
Mm.
it's like, wow,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah. There's
lot of work.
always, yeah. I think as well. Like we always see the tip of the iceberg of, you know, people where they are now, success. Like you look at Elon Musk and you look at
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos and you see like, you know, Gary Vee and stuff, and people always see what they're doing now, and you know, you think about, you know, what they were doing, where they did start. Um,
Yeah.
and so I think I saw a quote, and it's like, for every successful person, there's a lot of unsuccessful years, or something like that.
Yes. And maybe it's all that hard work, everything that they went through, that because they're always so wise as well. And
Mm,
so it has to be from just getting knocked down a million times and getting back up every time.
mm. Yeah, no, I agree, and I
Yeah.
think like sometimes I'll apply for jobs and I'll put time and energy into chasing things, and they'll be like, "Oh, you didn't get it," and it makes me feel like crap. But then I'm like, okay, just keep going. And I think like what I learned is that you're building resilience, really, aren't you? You're building that resilience if things don't work out. The more that happens.
Yeah, definitely. Or learning is just so valuable too. I think a lot of times when we get a no or a door kind of shut in our face, we think, oh, that's, you know, was a waste of time. But I think it really all adds to, like, yeah, the bigger picture. Makes you more, the more you learn, the more you know, the better you can problem solve, the better,
Mm.
you know, opportunities you can take advantage of, as long as you just don't, as long as you keep that zest, you know, for the direction you're going in.
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think we're kind of, you know, I think we're here for a reason, aren't we? And I think, you know, we're not kind of like put on this planet to just stay in one place. You know, we kind of have to connect with other people and grow and things like that.
Yeah, and it's so fun now. Like, look, we're talking two totally different countries.
Yeah,
You know, we
yeah,
how fun is that? You know,
yeah. No,
and
that's amazing.
right. Or I just think too, the amount of information that's available to us. Like I think, you know, like my parents, like there was only so much that was available to them, and like now, literally, we have the world at our fingertips, and you know that wasn't very much time difference.
Mm,
You know,
mm,
and
yeah.
now, yeah, it's like we can, it's almost like whatever we can imagine, we can create or we can have, as long as we're willing to put the work into it.
Mm, yeah,
And
it
then
is pretty. Sorry.
oh no, I was thinking, and then just my advice, which would be, is just constantly like seek that information, speak to people that have gone before you, learn I always love talking to grandmas and grandpas because they have the best stories. They have the best advice. They have, all this knowledge.
Mm,
Plus, then they've got all that gentleness and kindness, just, that
mm,
comes with time and wisdom.
yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I used to work in a golf club, and a lot of the people there, quite elderly, and you talk to them, and they just come from this place of like experience and advice, because they've been there, done that kind of thing.
Yeah. Or then you could be like me. It's so cute. I swear, all the little grandmas and grandpas, when I'm in the grocery store, they're always, could you reach up to that? Like they want something on the top shelf. So it's like, sure, I can get that for you. They're
Yeah,
just so adorable.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
It's
it's
just,
it's sweet.
yeah.
No,
Like,
we're my sorry.
what's that? Oh, go ahead.
So where my mum lives, there's an elderly couple, and they're must be in their 80s or 90s at least, and they've been married for like however many years, and they're like the example. Do you know what I mean? An example of like a cute like elderly couple. They're just so nice people,
Yeah.
such nice people.
They're so fun. You know, I know it's, one time I spent like almost 10 years, like when um, I had like a part-time job that I created. I just wanted a little extra money. I didn't want to put in a ton of time, but I wanted something fun, because who wants to work their life away, right?
Mm,
And like, you know what I mean? And it's something that you're not really enjoying, or it's work, right? And so I helped this one little grandma. She had COPD from smoking for so many years.
yeah,
And so, she just needed help. First, it was like just little things around the house, or then, uh, going to the pharmacy, and it was one of the best jobs I ever had. And it was so fun.
that's
Or just,
nice.
yeah, just connecting with somebody else, helping them out. And then it's just so sweet because I think when you help other people, you end up receiving just as much as what you're giving out.
Mm,
And plus, it was just sweet memories.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I think like connecting with people and seeing what especially elderly people as well, and talking to them and helping them and having that kind of positive impact, learning about their stories and things like that.
Yes. Yeah. She had awesome stories. Her and her husband were business owners, and they like traveled all over the world. And it was just, yeah, it was so neat to
Mm,
hear that, because then, when then it's just like, it kind of opens up a world to you. It's like, oh, wow, I could travel and be a businesswoman as well. Or, you just start to expand your horizon of possibilities.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. It's nice. It's quite powerful, isn't it, when you think about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much difference we actually make in this world. Like for me, it's like, okay, I was just helping her out, but
Mm,
it's like who knows the true impact maybe I had on her life.
mm,
I know the impact she had. She's passed away a long time now. But I still
yeah.
think of her, or maybe it's just those little gestures, like helping people
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Maybe that with other people. And um, I think about people like, maybe I'm at the grocery store and I've had a rough day. I'm tired. I just want to go home. I want to do this and that. Or like, sometimes you're in a bad mood. You don't want nobody to talk to you. And
Yeah.
you'll have just the sweetest person at the checkout, like, oh, and they'll talk to you or have a nice day. And all of a sudden you're like, just that little interaction, and whatever you were so upset about was completely gone.
Yeah.
And it's just so neat. And I think, with the world how it is today, maybe we just need that kindness, even more, because we don't know what each person's going through. We don't know what they're worried about. We don't know the stresses.
Mm,
Um, I think of like the unemployment rate. I think of the
yeah.
kids not going to school. I was talking to one of the security guards where I work, like, he's like, I haven't been able to work, because this child, there's no daycare.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. And, and so I always like to have something funny to say. I love making people laugh.
Yeah.
And I think now is the perfect time for that. But I don't really think maybe the exact circumstances of what we're going through is unique. But yeah, I think about, again, like my grandparents or elderly people I've known where, they were born during World War I. They
Yeah. Yeah.
made it through, like, so in America, the stock market crash, the roaring
Yeah.
20s, they
Yeah.
grew up in the roaring 20s, or, they fought in World War II. So that's two world wars that
Mm.
human history never experienced. So what were they feeling at that time? They survived the Great Depression. They, you know what I mean? There's all these things, let alone inventions like the telephone, like how that in their lifetime, it wasn't quite Morse code, but it's like they saw
Mm.
so many huge transitions in this world. So I like to think too, it's like, okay, this is just our story that we're going to
Yeah.
tell our grandkids.
Mm.
But so really hard times are not unique. I love history, especially ancient history. And we're really not going, it might look a little different, but I don't really think the situation, like if you boil it down to its major pieces, it's really no different than what people have been struggling with.
Mm.
But
Yeah. It's just a different situation, but like, same kind of struggles and unemployment and anxiety and things like that. There's a lot, isn't there?
yeah, it's still not easy, or and it's
No.
hard to see the suffering. I think we're all kind of feeling that collective anxiety, and I think then kind of circling back, it's like, I think now, is our time to really, maybe this has given us pause. Okay, what do I want to do going forward, and start it now?
Mm.
What can we do to help each other out as a whole to
Yeah.
we can't, yeah. And I think you had said something earlier too, like the things that we can't control, there's probably more things that we can't control than the things we can control.
Mm.
So how can we move forward, but be able to make the transitions that we need to, so that we are maybe at best slowed down, not stopped?
Mm.
And maybe this is just a time of just massive creativity. Like, okay,
Mm.
um, instead of listening to the negativity, which could be true, but then on the other hand, I think if you're thinking positive and it's like, I want a career in writing, well then why shouldn't it happen despite what's going on? There were millionaires being made during the depression or the stock market crash, when
Mm.
people found oil. So I think the opportunity is there.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's definitely a time of opportunity in some aspects, for people to reinvent themselves. And if people haven't been, if whatever job they've been doing hasn't been working out, people have like started things on the side and left their job and created something new. And it's definitely a time where people are going to be probably laid off and things like that. But it's also a
Right.
time for people to really think about what it is they want to do. I know some people who've created businesses during lockdown because they had that time to really take a step back and think about what they were doing. Um,
Yes.
so, it like you said, there are opportunities out there, and I think it's just a matter of, like you said, acting on them. And I think with the internet and networking and how we met on social media and LinkedIn especially, it's quite
Yeah.
a good way to network and do a bit, set up a business or reach out. But like you said, you've got to do it. You've got to put in the time and the effort. It's not going to just materialize itself.
Yes. And I like when you mentioned LinkedIn, I just absolutely, for professional um, social media, that is so awesome, because there's so many business owners, there's so many people that are so willing to say, what do you need? I can help you with
Mm.
that. Or this is my expertise. This is my advice. And
Yeah.
I was thinking too, like, Dave, from Feeding
Yes.
Time TV.
Yeah.
Look at, what this guy is like doing. It's so funny when he's got a cooking video out. I am just laughing so hard. And now there's a, person just focusing on the things that bring him joy. And
Yeah.
I forwarded, some of his stuff to like family and friends, and they just roll. It's so funny.
Yeah. No, I showed them to my family the other day. They quite like it, and
Good.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you connecting me with that connection, and I'll be doing podcasts with him at some stage. I've got it booked in, so should be good.
That will be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's so many good people out in the world, if you,
Yeah.
there's so many good people, and yeah, he's definitely one of them.
Yeah. No, that's it. And no, so are you as well. And it's great. It's great connecting with you, and I really enjoy
Thanks.
talking to you, and I think like what we spoke about today is pretty powerful and important, really.
Yeah, I do too, because sometimes we need help remembering that stuff, remembering what's important, remembering, because at the very least we're all so busy now. And like that, some of those sayings that have been around a long time, stop and smell the roses, it's still pertinent for today, maybe even more so. But we only get one run, in my opinion. We only get one run in life, so let's
Yeah.
make it a good one. Let's make it a memorable one. Let's leave a legacy.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, like you said, we got to live our best life and, have a positive impact and be happy in what we're doing and, really, really appreciate everything that we know that's going on and that we can, it's leading by example, isn't it? Having it, leave, what impact do you want to have and what do you want to leave and what's your story, isn't it? And what do you want to be remembered for? And it's,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's something that sometimes people don't necessarily think about, but I think in hindsight, you kind of have to. It gives you that kind of like clarity. It makes you take your life seriously. Because sometimes, like, I think to myself, like, I know I'm 26, but I'm like, well, we don't think about certain things down the line. It makes
Yeah,
you
we don't.
appreciate your time and where you are, and makes you want to, embrace, life.
Yes. It's like that feeling of invincibility is pretty awesome, until you get humbled with something.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
think taken down a couple notches maybe, but yeah, I think we almost have to live that way though, because like my grandfather said, it's only the tough make it to old age. And I truly believe that, we have to be like tough, like strong. We have to have that persistence. We have to just focus and go for the things we want, because it seems like nowadays, like nobody's guaranteed old age anymore. Is what it kind of looks like to me, like when I'm seeing things. And so I think we just have to maximize our opportunities. We got to create opportunities when we don't see anything. And just keep people as an important part of our lives, like our networks, because I think too, like some of the things that make me such a great person was the things I learned from other people. Or I don't like patience. I don't think anybody is born with patience, but it's from our parents, our aunts and uncles, our grandparents. Being patient with us is how we learn it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. It really makes you think, doesn't it? I feel like it makes you deep in thought about it.
I had a neighbor one time. I think all the time. I love learning. It was so funny. She's like, I don't like talking to you. You make me think. And I'm like,
it's good.
It's like, thank you for that honesty.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good to think. It's important.
Yeah. I think that's probably one of the, how can you not laugh though when something like that happens. It's like
Yeah.
I'm like, I laugh so hard, but it's funny. Of course, when we'd see each other, we'd wave, but that was the end of us like hanging out and just chatting. It was so
Yeah.
funny.
No, it's awesome. But but like where can people find you on like social media, like or like LinkedIn, like where?
And this is where I kind of totally dropped the ball. I kind of paused on like social media just because I'm in the process of like creating something completely different as opposed to like kind of personal to
Yeah,
more
yeah.
like fun professional. But
Mm.
LinkedIn, yeah, Elliott Woods. I'm
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
think.
I can put your details in the thing anyway.
Okay, sounds good. Because
Yeah,
yeah, if
yeah.
there's any suggestions or anything, any thoughts, anything that I know that I could help somebody out with and maybe help grow their career or give them ideas or inspiration, I would absolutely be happy to do that.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's awesome, and I think it's really great what you're doing, and the kind of person that you are, and the way that you see things is really, you know, positive and empowering. And I think it's great that you just want to like, have a positive impact, and you're following something that you enjoy, and yeah, I think it's really,
Thanks.
really, really uplifting, and it's
Thank you.
great talking to you. And
Yeah, thanks. So I don't know if that's a little too bright. Can you still
no, it's
see me
fine,
okay?
it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
But well, thank you so much. And it's been such a pleasure like speaking with you, and it'd be fun to do a podcast down the road.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
of course. Yeah,
yeah, but then as well, when I get everything all set up and running, I'll be sure to pass that information to you and
yeah,
as
yeah. No,
well.
of course. Yeah, sounds good. But no, we can definitely do this again sometime. Do you know what I mean? And be good.
Sounds great.
Sweet. No, but no, it was great talking to you. But have a great day where you are, and
Thanks.
all the best in what you're doing.
Thanks, you as well. It's like I might actually be catching a suntan out here today.
Yeah, yeah,
Got to double down. No.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well, and you as well have a
yeah,
fabulous day and week, and I can't wait to just I'll keep following your podcasts, and
yeah, yeah,
I'll keep in touch.
yeah, yeah. Sure thing. Sounds good to me.
Thanks so much.
Take care. See you.
Yep. Bye.
Take care. Take care.